I get you 500 website views if nobody comes in? It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And yet,
Yeah.
dental marketer like pat themselves on the back. I got you 500 website views. So I can't monetize that.
All right, Alex. So on today's episode, I wanted to bring someone on that we've kind of been talking to for a little bit since we started the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's kind of been nice. I mean, one thing that's been good is it's allowed me to make more connections with people, which you all know I like people. So
Yeah.
This is always nice.
Yeah.
But no, I wanted to bring on Sean, who has a dental marketing agency, because when we were just kind of shooting the shit and talking randomly, he was telling me about this concept because I went to him and I was like, why do I go through so many marketers? Why does this thing never work? And he was talking about this whole like cycle of mediocrity, and he explained it to me, but I wanted him to explain it to kind of all of our viewers too, because I feel like it gave me a lot of insight on
you,
on me, yeah, and why we all get stuck in this cycle, and is there like actually a solution on how we can become more informed on like making sure marketing's working? Because we joked about it earlier that like we've gone through so many. So,
yeah, we have. Yeah.
So Sean, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And yeah, if we could just dive into this whole concept at first, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys having me on too. I've always enjoyed our talks for sure. The cycle of mediocrity is just kind of something I noticed over the last 10 plus years of doing this and talking to thousands and thousands of doctors who had really bad experiences and continue to have really bad experiences with dental marketers. I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen in dental marketing that kind of why industry-wide marketing struggles. I mean, there's a lot of salespeople that really aren't marketers. They're just selling marketing services to dentists, so that's a problem. There's really a whole vertical now on social media with business influencers and coaches and things, and they're selling programs to like the Rodan and Fields crowd, right? They're saying, hey, become a digital marketer, make $10,000 a month and work 20 minutes a week, right? And they have these programs that you can buy, and there's scripts, and there's all this stuff. That's why like you see all these all-on-4 and implant marketers, and if you watch the ad, they all are saying the same thing. It's because they all bought the same script. They all bought the same funnels. They all bought the same stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. So I want to side on that, because I don't know, when I go through Facebook and just doom scroll through there, it's like every time I'm on, I'll always see like a new, you don't pay until we bring implant patients in your door, and these are these all-on-4 stuff. Now, is part of the reason that these guys got into this all-on-4 marketing is because the ticket price for the treatment is so high that they can anchor a really high payment for their services, because they can say, well, I'm helping you close on a $50,000 case, so I can charge you X amount?
So that's kind of a varied answer too. And just so you know, like I'm not like a holier than thou marketer. I got in dental marketing helping a friend. I never was like, oh, I'm going to own an agency and, make a bunch of money. That was never the goal. I was literally just helping a friend of mine. And I sucked at this when I started because I did everything that I learned in college and none of it worked, because dentistry is not a features and benefits business. It's not a like what you're going to do to me business. There's different emotions and things that drive buying decisions for dental practices. And that's where most marketers go wrong, is they don't even understand what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I earned my stripes because what I was doing wasn't working. And the practice I was working with was a friend of mine. So I like dug my heels in to figure it out. And over about 18 months, he was really patient and gave me a lot of grace to try a lot of different things. But I finally figured out with story and emotion how to get a higher conversion rate for him. And then I found out once we solved all those problems and his practice started to grow, guess what all of his friends that are dentists say? Who's doing your marketing? And that's how I met more doctors. And then I laid this framework on their practices, and you have to tweak it a little bit, but the framework itself, we would lay on their practice, and it worked really well too. And so my agency, just that's how it was born. Like I never came into this trying to own an agency or be a celebrity or any of those things. And I always preface with that because I don't speak to this from a place of being like, I'm so much smarter than every other marketer. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I do it differently because I had to. And then as I kind of got out in the industry and saw what's out there, dentists deserve a lot more than they get from most of the providers that are out there. And so the all on four people and those people that come in, like we're talking about, I don't even think they understand necessarily what it is that they're selling. It's just they get hooked by that coach or that program or the become a digital marketer in 10 weeks thing. And they see dollar signs. They see $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month that they can make. And with dental marketing, there's very little accountability. If you have money, you can pay and get thrust in front of doctors. There's not a lot of vetting that goes on, right? So whoever buys the gold package, that's who gets promoted. And that's fine, but at the same point, like when you have so much inexperience coming in to this vertical because people want to make money and be successful, and medical is a good place to do that, it starts to get a slippery slope, and you get a lot of inexperience coming in. And then on the other side of it, you have marketing companies, even established marketing companies. The formula doesn't work, and it hasn't worked. It's just there are so many doctors like within the churn, because dentists like to move with the group because it's safer.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I know that's what we always did, right? Like, that's what you do is we would go, I don't understand anything about marketing. All right, I'm going to go on a Facebook group and I'm going to see what everyone says is good, right? And then you see and you look through or you search in it and you're like, oh, like 10 people said this company's good. Well, they must be good. But then you realize that, like, you know, maybe your friends or the people you were relying on actually don't know. And
or maybe that person's getting paid or a kickback from that company, or even in some situations, maybe there's ownership on the outer fringes, right? Like there's all kinds of stuff that happens. And again, I'm not saying that this is everybody. There are really good marketers in dental too. It's just, it's getting harder to find them because there are so many salespeople, and there's a lot of agencies that just, they don't really do a great job for doctors, but the doctors don't, like, number one, they don't know. Really? I mean, they look at the reports. A lot of them, it's like looking at hieroglyphs. They're just like, like whatever. If you say it's going good, like cool. I don't think the phone's ringing as much as it should be, but whatever. Or they just
and like you're saying, it's kind of like when you mention it, like hieroglyphics. Like I know when we get those reports, it's like you don't want to look like an idiot. So a lot of times people just head nod, right? And you're like, okay, and that's fine. But to me, when we hear as dentists, when you hear like conversion rate or impressions or all those different, like what your leads are, click-through rate, all that kind of stuff. That to me is like, if I'm trying to explain to you or someone else who maybe doesn't have as much, or a patient who doesn't have as much knowledge in dental, and instead of me saying, oh, there's you've got a hole in your tooth, right? I'll say this spot has been cavitated. And I'll use like technical words, and the patient just sits there and they're just like, okay. And then the patient ends up not being happy because they feel like they were never had it explained to them well. And so I feel like that's what happens to us with marketers is we become the patient who's just sitting there head nodding.
Yeah, it definitely does happen to a degree. And there's bad business practices. There's unscrupulous things that go on. There's all kinds of stuff that go on too. Some people hide the reporting. Some people, fluff the numbers. Some people don't accurately report the numbers. I mean, there's some agencies, like, they won't even tell you what they're spending on things. You just pay them a blanket fee, and they won't tell you what's going to them and what's going anywhere else. Like, with Google ads or Facebook ads, you pay them a big lump sum, and they don't tell you. Like, that doesn't fly in other verticals. I mean, I came from an agency in the past. Dentists are underserved, undertreated. Like, they pay premium prices for barely half the work. Yeah. And there's no service, there's no strategy, there's very little of that.
So like,
and there's no guidance.
That, so like, what would you say? Because we can go into the whole like cycle piece in a minute. But in terms of like vetting someone, so like, what would you tell me or other dentists too? Because I think that's the other issue we have is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So you like laid out a ton of interesting stuff, but like, what are some questions we should be asking to a potential marketing agency, and what are the answers we should be looking for to know if it's actually legitimate or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, there's nuances, there's deeper dives you can do, but when I speak and talk about this stuff, and again, I am not saying that I'm the smartest guy in the room. I learned all of this by doing this for a very long time. The best thing that you can do initially is look at this from, are you getting me visibility or are you getting me conversion? And that's where Art of Dental Marketing, that's where my agency, I feel like, is elite, is we are really good at the conversion part. I call it the chosen approach. Most dental marketing only focuses on visibility. So it only focuses on getting you seen. SEO, direct mail, billboards, all that stuff. And you're constantly shoving you in front of people's faces, but there's nothing there that's compelling somebody to call you. So most dental marketing, they're charging you that premium fee, and all they're doing is visibility. And if you say, but what are you doing for conversion? Because converting someone, that means they see you and then they call you, or they fill out a form, or they schedule an appointment. That's conversion. Like, that's when you make money. You don't make money if I get you 500 website views if nobody comes in. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And yet, dental marketer like pat themselves on the back. I got you 500 website views, so I can't monetize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
actually really interesting. Yeah.
So when the messaging is super clinical, super generic, right? You got the stock family, is not a patient. One of our clients that just switched over, they're in Wisconsin. They have like a couple walking on the beach. Like, how many Wisconsin couples walk on the beach, right? But those are the kind of things when I talk about selling people something or marketing a practice. Like, visibility versus conversion is the biggest thing. Is a dentist that's busy, that doesn't have time to learn all this. Are you getting me seen, or are you getting me chosen? And that's what we talk about. Because, again, SEO, right? Spend all this money. I need to get page one. Why? Well, because I want to get phone calls. Okay, well, even if you spend all the money in the world and I get you to page one, top 3, which is the best you can do, you still have a 1 in 3 chance of getting picked. So it's 33%. It's not great odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can I nudge them to call you first? And that's what we are really good at, is I will get using emotion and story, and there's a lot that goes into it, but with what we've developed, I have a higher chance of getting them to call you first versus the generic website, the couple walking on the beach in Wisconsin website, the super clinical website, because of what we use and infuse story. So if they can't articulate a conversion strategy to you, they're only selling you half the battle. Like, getting in front of people is usually not the problem for dentists. It's getting a butt in the chair that's the problem. And the marketers, they don't ever talk about that part. What they do, and this is where the cycle of mediocrity kicks off. Again, I developed this over the last decade and thousands of offices, and it goes more in depth, but I'll just kind of give you the roundabout hamster wheel. Most dental marketing is super clinical and generic. So it's just churn and burn. That's why all the websites look the same, right? Mm-hmm. So the average person that's looking for a dentist, their search kicks off with proximity and price. Who's closest to my house? Price is a factor because the way most dental practices are built on their digital presence, price is like the only factor that they're given to start to make a buying decision. But because that starts, price and proximity search, right? It pops up. Here's 5 dentists around my house. All the marketing looks the same. So insert the dental marketing companies, everybody kind of looks the same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody looks the same, you guys have no way to differentiate from each other. And so in order to differentiate from each other, what does the marketing company tell you to do? Discount your work.
Yeah, I was going to say offers, right? Yeah. Do the new patient special. Yeah.
Gimmicks, devalue dentistry. And so you get in price and proximity battles, which is a tough way to do profitable dentistry. It's also really tough if you have DSOs in the space, right?
Yeah.
And so because there's no differentiation, you rely on that price and the price and gimmicky battles, which you guys all race to the bottom. Discounting your dentistry means that you got to produce more to break even or to make money, but it also drives undesirable patients into the office. So we start with no differentiation, discounts and gimmicks, bad patients you don't want to see, that they're not going to accept treatment, they're not going to come back, they're not going to refer, right? They're going to come and get to the special and you're never going to see them again. That constant churn and those low value leads weighs on you, starts to frustrate you, it starts to frustrate your team, starts to affect the patient experience. Everybody starts to kind of, the harmony breaks up, right? Because of the churn. That frustration continues to build until you get to the point that you're like, this isn't working. I need a new marketing company.
Yep.
So you go to study club, Facebook groups, whatever, and you look, and the highest bidder is getting promoted, right, for these different services. Like you just said, you've gone with people before just because everybody else did. But at the core of most, not all, but quite a few marketers out there, there's the salesperson. There's not the marketer. So the marketing is generic. That's what I mean. All the websites and stuff look the same, right? So they have a silver bullet, the thing that they catch you with. They have this bot, AI, whatever. you go in and you get whatever, and then after the newness and that like surge wears off, you all, like James Clear says in Atomic Habits, you always fall back to your system, right? So their system is generic churn and burn. So guess what? After that quick little lull, you fall back again. And then the marketing gets generic again and you start over again because now you're back here and there's no differentiation again. And so the marketing company, you say, hey, the phone's not ringing as much anymore. Hey, the leads that are coming in for these implant consults, like this, the last one, the guy had like a 500 credit score, right? And the marketing company says, oh, you need more leads? Cool. Give us more money. Do a special, do a discount. And then you start over again. And you just go round and round and round. And that's how most doctors spend their career.
And I mean, and to kind of go on that, that's what happens in your dental practice too, right? Like I think you can apply that philosophy or cycle, whatever you said, to almost anything, right? Because if you have a dental office and you have shitty systems, you're going to fall to the level of the systems. So then you're going to do other things where you'll do some things in marketing to try to get more new patients, or whatever else you'll do. I'm going to offer this new service or do this or that. But then eventually, like you said, you hit that initial like bump, like you buy an iTero or something, or I'm going to do all these Invisalign cases. But if your system sucks, then you're just, it'll work for a month or two and then you just go back down to where you were. So yeah, that's really interesting. There's more
little, like when I speak and present on it, there's more to it, but those are just kind of the high level places that you go. Like when I speak to a room full of doctors, they all are like, yeah, like I'm in one of those phases. But that's what I mean, and you can track it. Like you can just see a practice. Like it's not normal to have 8 marketers and you've been in business 3 years. Unless there's jumpy doctors too that just jump from next thing to next thing.
Yeah. And we do that. I think we as an industry and as dentists tend to do that a little bit more. And I don't know if that's a lot of just ego that a lot of us have. And we think like, oh, well, we went through dental school. We're smart. We know stuff. And maybe we think we know more than we do sometimes. And then we're like, well, this isn't working.
Well, I think it's because we're kind of impatient.
Yeah.
We want to see results really fast. And we are...
I mean, we're kind of type A. A lot of us are type A because you kind of have to self-select into that to get into dental
also
school.
Like type A with certain things. Like in other things, it's like, oh, I'm really lazy or like comfortable. Like I don't want to fix the system. I want the easiest thing. I just need more patience. Just give me 100 and I'll be fine. And then I'll be good. Give me 150 or whatever it is. And it's like, you don't need that many if your system, if like the person you hired someone that like, I don't know, $15 an hour answering the phone and they can't freaking convert a patient to save your life. And it's like, I don't want to train that person.
Well,
or I don't want to get someone, I don't want to get someone good. Like, I don't, it gets back to like, I'm just comfortable with like how it is. And like the easiest thing is for me just to say, I want to cancel my marketing company and let me find a new one.
Well, think about our friends who have done the best. So like Sean, when we were doing our startup journey and we were looking at, some of our friends were doing in different parts of the country and everything, the ones that were absolutely crushing it, they almost hit both of these levers really well. The first is they were in an area that was growing, so they would get a lot of new patients, and they had really good systems. So when they had both of those dialed in, those were the guys we knew that were going from startup to 3-4 million in like 3 years, right? They were in a growing area, they were good dentists, and they had really good systems. And I feel like you have to have both those to get to that like level of growth.
Yeah, and I think too. I think it's the industry's fault too, because you guys never stop getting sold to, and so there's always the next silver bullet. There's always the person putting doubt in your ear, right?
Yep.
That always happens. I mean, if you like meet a girl, date a girl, and every day there's 50 girls being like, don't date her. Like she won't treat you right. Like you can do better. I mean, you're constantly getting sold to too, and there's all like. That's one of the worst things about dentistry, in my opinion, is that there's all these promises that get made, and there's never any consequences for not getting results.
If you like our podcast, check out Alex's newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's full of great advice, which makes sense considering it's her thoughts and not me sidetracking her every 2 seconds. You can subscribe at coupleofdentists.com. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to the pod.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So here, I've got a story on one thing we did, and this was one project that I kind of took on when we were doing our practices, because we were like, all right, what can we do for marketing, right? And I think for myself, I was like, oh, I want to do some like more guerrilla type marketing, like getting into the weeds more and going like really local with stuff. And I was like, let's go to, I think I told Alex, I was like, I want to go to all the apartment complexes nearby and try to like reach out to the people working there and like set up little events or do pizza parties and do that kind of stuff. And so Alex was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. Which, and then I think for me it was an excuse.
Like, you can do it. I'm like, that does not have my name written on it.
Honestly, it was probably more of an excuse of how can I get out of the office and how can I like meet new people, right? So I don't know how much of that was like, I want to get new patients versus I just need to get like out of the office. So, So anyways, I remember one of our practices, it was like pretty much connected to a couple pretty decent sized apartment complexes. And so I would reach out to the people that were kind of the agents that worked at those places, and we'd put on events and do pizza party stuff. And we'd always get like a couple patients, but I never got crazy good results from it. And I don't know if that's just because I probably did a really crappy job explaining of maybe what the services were, but it just never worked. So like, have you guys tried that stuff before? What's been your experience? Because I want to know from like someone who's legit if that was a good strategy.
because you did it like, and I think if it would work, and I don't know, and again, it's demographics, right? It's like you go into these apartment complexes and they're probably like 6-month leases and stuff like that. So they're always getting new people, then the people are moving around and stuff. So maybe unless you're doing it like all the time, which is quite a commitment.
Well, it kind of goes back to Sean's thing on like that whole cycle. Like you're chasing like someone who's gonna move
win
every year, right? So unless you're like, I'm gonna get this person in and do a ton of work on them really fast and be done, which I know some DSOs are just more like of that, like let's churn and burn and get them in and get them out. You're not really building, I guess, as good of a long-term relationship, or you're always just chasing the next patient, which sucks when that happens. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Sean. Tell us. Yeah.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, we've done this for a long time. We do it very in depth, but aside from the visibility marketing versus the conversion focused marketing, like aside from everything being visibility focused, and that's why it doesn't work. The messaging is the reason why if you get in front of somebody and what you like, they don't call you, they don't schedule. It's because the message is off. It's not, oh, I need to get in front of more people. Like what you're saying isn't working. That's where the generic messaging, the stock families, the quality pain-free dentistry, like that's what I always say, quality pain-free dentistry. That, like, it falls on deaf ears. Like the average person, right? We're inherently selfish creatures, right?
Yep.
But at the same point, the biggest thing too, when I speak to even dental marketers, there's very little reverence given to two things. One is the fact that statistically the average person is scared of you or apprehensive. So it's a different buying decision when that happens. It's like being locked in like if I locked you two in a room with a puppy or I locked you two in a room with a tiger, the room's different, right? Your perception of it's different. So the fear and apprehension, if all you come back at me with is here's more of what I'm going to do with you, here's me in scrubs, here's me in a white coat, here's me with tools in your mouth.
Yeah.
You're just affirming the stuff that I'm scared of, right?
Yep.
So that's number one. And that's honestly one of the.
But that's what we all do. But that's a crazy, like what you just described. I mean, I think everyone's like, take a picture in a white coat.
My gosh, I have been when I scroll and like look at like websites and stuff, and I see someone with like a syringe, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are you literally trying to say like?
Or when people,
that is,
or
inviting?
When people like when there was what was it, like the wand or whatever that was like, hey, pain-free injections. I guess to what you're saying, you're like, why the hell would you even put on that you're doing injections to people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's and that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about with the stuff that we do. I'm going to get my client called before they call you. And that's how we win. That's how our clients win. Because SEO and all that stuff's algorithmic. You can manipulate it. You can do things. If you get caught, you're at the mercy of the penalties that are incurred. But there is no silver bullet. There's no certified partners. None of that stuff matters. Like, you got to play by the same rules. If you get in front of somebody and they're not calling you, it's because your messaging is too generic. And that's why most doctors have to spend a ton, because then it's low-hanging fruit. It's just getting in front of as many people as I can, versus a lot of times with our clients, one of our doctors was spending like $30,000 a month and she had multiple offices, but she's spending like 30 grand a month. We were able to cut it down like 70% because we were converting more. She didn't have to spend so much.
Oh wow.
And as a
Okay,
marketer,
yeah, that makes sense.
that's how you do a good job. Is you're paying for advice, you're paying for customization, you're paying for the path of least resistance, right? But that's probably the biggest thing aside from visibility versus conversion, is that there's no reverence given to the fact that people are scared of you. And you have to attack that differently, because we make different, as human beings, we make different decisions based on fear and apprehension than we do when we're going to buy a car. And that's why I make the puppy and tiger reference. Like, you would see the room different depending on what's in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the big things with this, that will make all the difference in the world, is just understanding where people are coming from. And I see doctors a lot, and when I work with them with ground marketing too, there's a few different things going on. So one, a lot of other business owners aren't good marketers either. And so if you go to a business or you go to an apartment complex and you say, hey, I'm a dentist, they say, cool, we're apartments. And you guys go, okay, bye. And that's kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if you come to them with an idea, and that's where we help our clients, is if I come to them with an idea, they get excited, and the reciprocity comes back around. So for instance, if I look at that apartment complex and we see, hey, they're having the Memorial Day pool kickoff, call the property manager and ask them, hey, if we make beach balls with our logo on them, will you guys use them at your party? And they'll say, sure. And take a bunch of beach balls over there and then hang out and eat a hot dog and just be you. Don't be salesy. You don't have to do any of that stuff. If you want to get some cool like sunglasses and stuff that have your logo on them, great. But don't be salesy, and don't be like, I'm a dentist. If they ask, great, but just go hang out. But that's how you work community angles, is you have to, if you meet a need of another small business, they will promote the heck out of you.
Well,
So
remember, so what are your thoughts on this? Because this made me think of that with the whole beach ball thing. There was a dentist that I think we brought it up on the podcast before. He was in Colorado, and I think he was the one that, was it the one at the bar where he spent he was like, I'm going to put a $1,000 tab on the bar. And whenever anyone ordered a drink, they were like, it's on the guy back there. And he would just wave and say like, hi. And so the patient, he said it worked really well because they kind of knew his face, right? And he may have said, I don't think he said he was a dentist, but I think he just kind of waved and said it was for me. And maybe he had him say, it's from Dr. So-and-so. And to me, that is such a unique, creative way to do it. And like you said, it kind of builds that reciprocity, because now someone's going to say, you've done something for me, you've given me something. So now when I have to make a decision, whether that's tomorrow my tooth breaks or it happens in 6 months, I'll probably choose you.
Exactly. You just stay top of mind. That's all. You're staying top of mind. And that's all you can do for the most part. But it's a way for you to stand out and be different, but it's a way to make the relationship work. Like, you saying this is what I do and them saying this is what we do, and you saying, okay, great. If nobody has an idea, it just falls by the wayside, or nothing really ever happens. And so you spend a lot, you're like, well, we're putting a toothbrush in all the new move-in packets and we're not getting any patients. This marketing thing doesn't work. No, It's just that approach to the marketing doesn't work. Yeah. So the reason why I led with the fear thing and then the connection thing is because the other thing too, with dentistry, with people being afraid of it and people don't really want to think about it, right? The other best thing that you can do as a dentist is, instead of trying to sell somebody something, roll it into their lifestyle and then let the outcome push them to call you. Don't try to be the hero. Like Donald Miller in StoryBrand talks about being the guide, not the hero. This works really well for dentists because people are scared of what you're selling. And so a lot of dental marketing is like whack-a-mole. And what I mean by that is, when it's the quality pain-free dentistry, come see us, me in a white coat, right? I have to hit that person at that moment that has that thing at the top of mind that they need fixed or they want improved or whatever. And so that's why performance usually is so lackluster, is because it's hard to hit that person when you throw it out citywide, and it wastes more money than it brings in usually, because you're just out hoping, oh my gosh, I hope we're going to hit somebody that needs dentistry or that's thinking about dentistry or whatever. But if you fold it into their lifestyle, it makes the message resonate. And sometimes you'll convert somebody because they're like, oh yeah, maybe I should. Perfect example. We just got done running campaigns. So you could come out all day and be like, hey, teeth whitening special, teeth whitening special, teeth whitening special. Great. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say, you bought her the dress, give her the smile, prom 2025 teeth whitening.
Yeah.
Every parent that sees it's like, and we did just spend $300 on a dress. Let's go whiten her teeth too.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have these pictures forever. That's what I mean. Just fold it into their lives and get out of the way and be like, hey, I do that. If you want to look good on your vacation photos, that's what we do. I can do that.
And so that makes sense. So
let that emotion drive the buying decision.
So you're saying, because in that you're almost going at it as more like, we're not like doing the spray and pray approach, right, with everything. And like you were going back to, it's all about getting your conversions. So in that scenario, you're hitting more of a targeted audience, which is, 15 to 18-year-old girls that might need their teeth whitened or whatever it is. But you're going to the parents, but then you're saying, hey,
going to mom.
Yeah. And you're saying, okay, well, maybe I'm targeting 50 people in my area as opposed to 1,000, but I might be able to.
You're spot on. It's like micro out, but that's where working with a marketer is different. That's running 10 campaigns at the same time pointed at different people. That's running that campaign. And then I have a campaign over here that's running that says, hey, do you have dentures, but you're still tired of being self-conscious? We have a permanent solution for that. Hey, guess what? Wedding season's coming up soon. You and your bridal party need, these photos are going to be there forever. You're going to walk by them every day when you get up get up and walk to the kitchen. Your smile is going to be there forever. Get the smile of your dreams. So we have all these messages running. And yes, they're segmented, but I'm converting so much more traffic.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And
so you're So you're doing still the 1,000 people, but you're just segmenting them out more. And that, all right, that's smart.
But I can see the message is built for that doctor and that practice based on what I'm seeing in the data, the way that we pull it. So if you don't have a lot of families in the area, I'm not going to run that promo for you. We're going to come up with something else. Point being, that's what working. When Pepsi hires a marketing company to make the Super Bowl commercial, Pepsi doesn't come up with the ideas and do everything. The marketers are creative and do it for them, and they give them the things that they need to be successful. Dentists are locked into this, hey, I pay all this money, and I think they're doing something. I don't really know. They take money off my credit card for my website.
And
that's
to your
how it
point
goes.
on that, to your point on that, that's what I've always felt too, is I always had this weird thing where I'm like, I'm not a marketer, or Alex, we're not. Mm-hmm. And you'd go into it saying why do I feel like they're asking me a lot of, I get understanding asking questions at first. So let me learn what services you do, blah, blah, blah. But then when they would always ask, what do you think about this? I remember in the back of my head, I'd always be like, but isn't that something you guys should be knowing? Why are you asking me this? Is it because you're not confident about it? Because that's what I do. If I ask for validation, it's because I'm not confident in what I'm doing.
But I think a lot of it too is I don't know if this just goes back to owning your own business, and we're not really qualified to do that, but knowing that we have other businesses now too that aren't dental, clinical, you need a chief marketing officer. You need someone who specializes in this type of thing that kind of wears that hat and isn't just okay, you're a hired gun, just go put ads out and let's I'll figure out all the other stuff. It's no, you need someone who's
a
partner.
And so I don't think what happens or works with that is when we have some buddies and they're like, oh yeah, my assistant's 22 years old and she likes social media, so now she runs my social media. It's she probably knows way better than I do or you do, Alex, how to post, how to do it quickly, what people maybe what she looks at maybe, but she doesn't have a background in marketing. She doesn't. They're two way different things. And so I think as dentists we tend to do that, is just oh well, I don't want to have to pay someone a lot, so I'm just going to get my assistant to do it. Which that doesn't ever seem. Maybe it works. I don't think it does.
And that's it's that's the other thing too. Just with I mean, we can't work with we couldn't work with 1% of all the dental practices in the U.S. Nor do I want to, because I don't want to lose what really like the relationship part and what we do with our clients. Like I love it, and I don't ever want to change that. But there's not a lot of places that you guys can go to get the kind of help that you're looking for, and it's tough. And I hope I hold things back when I do these because we start to see story-based marketing, and we start to see all this stuff pop up on like competitors' websites and things. So I am more reserved in these than how I am when working with like a client or speaking to a room full of doctors. But it is hard to find the people that you're talking about that can help you and be strategic. And it's not that the marketers or whatever that's out there can't do it. It's just they haven't taken the time to do it. And when they do, I'm sure the marketing just kind of in mass is going to get better. And with you as dentists, like you guys are the ones signing the engagement letters. You're the one writing them the checks. You're the ones that can demand a change. You guys are the ones that have all the power. So, you know, when you see like a thread that like trashing dental marketers or scam artists and like it doesn't work, okay, then quit paying them and they'll go away or they'll get better. Like those are the only two options.
We all know Eric wants more friends. If you're enjoying this episode, share the podcast and then tell them to DM Eric so he can hit his quota of 1 new friend per day. Now back to the episode.
No, that's well said. No, I appreciate, I mean, this has been pretty insightful. I feel like I've gotten some good insider information on stuff. And no, I think it helps maybe myself, probably Alex, probably the people, the just a couple people listening, right? Still, maybe just get a little bit more like insights on why we all tend to be stuck here, and maybe we can kind of get out of that cycle, like you said. I mean, I think that's the goal. So like, I mean, we'd love to have you on future episodes just to kind of deep dive into some other stuff, see what eventually what some of our listeners want to dive into more, because this probably is, I think we've been practice owners now since 2017, right? So like 8 years. Probably the biggest challenge I would think we've had is finding a dental marketing company that's a good long-term solution. And I think if that gets solved and someone can solve that for dentists, then that's huge. So thanks a lot for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. I always enjoy chatting with you guys.